So guys, a little background on what's happening. Jeff and I did not get a deer, neither did our hunting partner Omer. So what you see here is a last-ditch desperation. We have 50 cal muzzle loaders. This is a Thompson center impact. I have the same, it's downstairs. And Jeff picked up the same last year. I think they're quite a deal. I'm not sure what you paid, but maybe $225, something like that. They don't make this model anymore, but anyways, we're about to put on Jeff's scope, and we're off to the range tomorrow, so you can watch a little bit of this process going on. First thing we're going to do is take out the actual factory screws so we can put on the base and then the rings. Anyways, good time shall commence, especially if these don't come out easily. Here we go. Oh, that's a joy.
Okay, so far so good.
Like literally that just... This is good. Watch, we'll get to the last one, it'll be a real bear. 3. Oh, do take note that I'm doing this on my wife's brand new tablecloth. That one's for you, honey. Alright. So now we've got loop-holed base. And we went with the steel base because folks were talking about the base actually moving because the other option was aluminum. So I don't know about you, but it didn't make me feel warm and fuzzy, the thought about that base moving. You can see that's a solid piece of steel. And I just realized I did not bring up some CLP and paper towel, because I always like to give the rifle, because once this is mounted it might be on there for 10 years, I don't know. But it's always nice just to give just a touch of oil on the actual base and the rifle. Not of course near where the screws are going in, but just so that there's a little bit of corrosion resistance. I'll be back. Just so you guys have another chuckle, that's one of my wife's dinner plates. I'm going to use it so I can put the CLP on, otherwise known as liberal tears. So there's just a tiny bit. Just give it a wipe.
The first time I've seen it, I was kind of envisioning something looking like an old flintlock.
Luckily they are quite modern. This of course is a inline 209 50 caliber muzzle loader.
A sniper, one of those, yes, sniper rifles they were talking about in Toronto last year or earlier this year.
For some reason I don't think that this is quite MOA capable of past a kilometer or whatever it is those things are used at. So you'll see I'm just getting the screws started. And then I take my time just torquing them down slowly, one at a time. Almost like when you're tightening up your car tire, you don't tighten one of the lug nuts right down right away. You take your time and do a bit at each so that it goes down evenly. Next step is to get the rings ready. Again, it's loop-holed rings with loop-holed bases. So this is a little more challenging. You have dovetails, so what you actually do is you take your rings out and you actually have to put them together. And I use an old screwdriver to turn them in. You'll see that in a second. So I just put both halves together. I may actually have to take the halves back apart if I can't fit the screwdriver handle in, but that's neither here nor there. My experience has been that you can put it together and tighten it up if needed, or loosen. So that's that. I'm going to go get my screwdriver and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so my trusty screwdrivers. Let's check, see if I can fit in there. Oh, see I can. Alright, so this is always fun. I'm actually going to get you to hold the end of the rifle, Jeff, when I go to twist this in. Just realizing I don't want to put all that stress on these screws without it being tightened down. And here we go. Ready? You holding it? Tiny bit too much, I think. Have a look, Jeff. Look down over here and try and tell me if that's... It looks square to me.
Yep.
Alright, so we got the first one in. Going for the second one. Talking to a guy online, and he'd harvested a deer with one of these, and he says he gets about 2 inches at 100. You know, for a muzzleloader, that, in my opinion, is phenomenal. In fact, it's not too far long ago that you can actually go back and see when the first sub-inch groups were shot in competition. So the fact that we have muzzleloaders that can shoot, you know, these kind of groups is fantastic. Ready? Alright, hold her. Hold her. Yeah, she's gotta go. I need more of a lever arm. You're going. Boy. It's got to go about another 20 degrees. Nope, another little bit. Just checking I'm not scratching my wife's dining room table. Just gonna double check this. Nope, it's got to go more. I think this one's good. This one's got to go just a tiny bit more. Hold on, Jeff. Holy cow. I think it's still got to go. Alright. Alright, hold the rifle. Now, I'm just going to... Not sure that moved it a tad. No, it's still gotta go. That one's good. This one's gotta go. I have to go find more tools.
I need a 50 caliber bore brush.
I don't know if I picked up a bunch. I might have. Okay, just hold it, Jack. Because I want to be really gentle doing this. It's almost, but I don't think it's quite. Take a look. I think it still needs just a tiny, tiny bit.
Yeah.
Alright, let's do that again. Just move. Frickin'. Have a look. What do you think? I think just a tiny, tiny bit more. Because what happens if they're not, if it's not parallel to each other, when you go to lay the scope in, it doesn't fit right. Ready? Oh, I felt it move just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. Have a look.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So it just looks right, right? So now we should be able to take these off. And in taking these off, we can lay the scope in. And it should fit in, hopefully, if we've lined these up. No problem.
Yeah, I wonder. So, when are you going to go check the cameras? Sunday?
Yeah, we could possibly go Sunday. I just don't want to be away from the house for more than...
You said you had to be at your mom and dad's tomorrow.
Tomorrow for 2, yeah.
So like I said, leaves Sunday. Oh, very good.
So, now what we're going to do is I'm just going to lay this here. We're going to get you... We're going to get you to actually pick the rifle up, because what we need to do is set how far this is from your eye, right? Once we decide, because we can move the scope back and forth. Now it's not in there, just you just want to look to shoulder it and see whether or not you got to creep the stock or it's okay. You want me to move it back and forth?
What do you think?
It looks about 3 inches from your eye.
How far should it be?
3 inches.
Okay.
Let me have a look. I think it should come back just a tad.
Okay.
The reason, because we're here in a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, you're gonna have your hunting gear on, correct? Let me see if that's my wife. have a look at that. I moved it back a boot,
Oh, yeah.
so it's a little further back, so you don't have to creep the stock. Well, you shouldn't creep the stock, but when you have a winter jacket on and stuff.
Yeah. Alright.
So, and it looks really good like that. And it appears to be completely level in there. Oops. Don't know if you guys can hear in the background, but I'm playing Zulu, the famous battle at Rorke's Drift.
The Royal Engineers held off.
About 100 men held off thousands of Zulu.
Zulus, yeah.
And it was the most Victoria Crosses ever awarded in any action, if my history isn't failing me. Looks good, Jeff. Jeff doesn't know it, but we do have the exact same rifle, so I'm going to have to scuff his gun or something. You know, put a scratch on it. Just so we can tell them apart, Jeff. Just so we can tell them apart. Again, you guys will notice that I take my time tightening these down, and I go back and forth to make sure that I don't tighten one before the other. There's no real process for me other than that's what I do, so that you don't crank one down and then crank the other one down. And I do try to have the same gap between the rings on both sides. Not always successful, but I think it looks better. And then again, this is just a slow, steady process of about a quarter a turn. Until you start feeling them snug up. Oh, could you imagine? Here they come! Oh dear. And they would have been shooting those Zulu with the old Martini Enfield in 5.77 450. That's the caliber, I think. I know I have some brass downstairs. I always thought it'd be kind of cool to shoot a deer with the one that I have. How long has this been sitting in your basement? We haven't done this.
It's
a year.
A year, about.
So I think roughly what you got into this gun is 225. For the scope, I think I picked that up for you used 125 or 150 because I was looking for one for a while. It's an Elite 3200, perfectly suitable for what we're doing here. And then the rings and bases probably 30 and 25, so 50. I mean, this is a pretty decent setup, right? You're 225, 125, so you got 350. You're probably $400.
Key for this.
It's an Allen key. We'll take it off here in a second. You don't need it on anymore. I think we can trust you with a muzzle loader, even though it's a 50 caliber.
Yeah.
I'm happy. So, just have a look here. try and get this all put away before my wife gets home, then she doesn't know that I was using her dining room table.
Very nice. Yeah.
So can you get your thumb on the hammer? You gotta pull it down to cock it. Yeah. Oh, maybe you have to break the gun.
Oh.
So yeah. Then close it back up. Ah, maybe we have to remove that Allen key. Hold the gun. So this is what it came with. Rudimentary trigger lock.
There we go.
Don't let that click happen in the stand. Let's see. Can you... Yep. Can you cock it without the click? Ooh, okay, let's see if we can play with this. Okay, so it's sitting there, the deer's coming in. You can if you pull the trigger.
Okay.
So if you're pulling it back, pull the trigger, let the trigger go, and then let it.
Okay.
So you just have to practice. Yeah, because you definitely don't want a buck coming in and you get, because he'll look right at you. Right. Yep, there you go. So you can do that without a click. Now, and how are the gaps on each side? And on the other side? Pretty even. Want some oil? Seeing as how we're taking these things out tomorrow into the weather. There you go.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.